Just a quick show of hands. Who would agree with this statement? The grass is green. Quick show of hands. Fair enough to say, everybody. Gets more interesting when I ask this. And just take a moment for that to really settle in. You see, this is a question which I find utterly amazing and quite utterly incredible, to be honest. And it's a question that really gets me interested in a subject otherwise known as philosophy. Yet, when I pose this question to people, what I often get back in return is very much just the confused expression and a scratch of the head. They don't really know what to say or where to go or what to do with it. And you see, me as a person, I have this love for a little thing called, well, philosophy. And the thing is, this word does multiple different things for multiple different people. You see, for some people, this word is very much positive. It has positive connotations of interesting topics and interesting ideas of life itself. But for others, it's much more a negative case. Something which is very much frowned upon, is very much illogical, and has no real use in the 21st century. They don't think we need it for any particular reason. But again, it doesn't matter which side you stand in. I often find myself that there's a common conception that people think philosophy is academic. You need a big brain. You need to be able to read loads of books in a short space of time. You need to be able to write 5,000-word essays and have some amazing sense of moral good and moral justice. And yet, as true as this may be academically speaking, they often think the same of the individual. To say that this individual has to be academic, has to love knowledge and books and essays. And yet, I often found this quite peculiar because, well, I love philosophy. And yet, I don't see myself as the most academic person there is. And I was really thinking about it. And so what I'm here to talk about is, by my book and by my definition, is the possibility of, well, philosophy is art. Now, it sounds peculiar to some people, and again, I wouldn't blame you because this is a trusted Google image search for none other than philosophy. And of course, all the images are pretty representative of what it means to be philosophical. We have pictures of people's heads filled with pages of notes and books, classical depictions of ancient figures deliberating all of life's questions, and men with their philosophical beards of wisdom. And all of this, I guess, it's a good image, but it's an external image, looking at somebody, and what it looks like from the outside. And yet for me, on the inside, you put in a Google image search for art, and this comes up. A lot more colour, a lot more interesting visually. And this is probably a more accurate representation, because to me, personally, this is what it feels like in my head. It may look like from the outside that I'm just sitting in a chair and pondering, but from the inside, to me, it's fireworks going off. And I often hear it said that, well, philosophy is pointless, useless, futile, any synonym you want to throw in there. I've heard every single one of them, believe me. And again, I always find this kind of peculiar because, well, you can say philosophy is pointless, but you can say the same for art. But of course, as I'm sure everybody in here would probably like to assume, well, no, art is useful. Everyone here, I'm sure, probably listens to music to some extent, has a like for photography, or maybe perhaps has a love for books, film. It doesn't matter, whatever takes your fancy. And you would argue that these are useful, these are beneficial for all sorts of different reasons, and whatever reasons you can think of, the same applies to philosophy. This is a quote. "Friendship is unnecessary. Like philosophy, like art, it has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things that gives value to survival." C.S. Lewis. And this sums up perfectly. This puts philosophy and art on the same level. They are the same thing. They give value to what it means to be human, to what it is to live a day-to-day life. And again, being an art, it's enjoyable. Because you see, like paintings, is the manipulation of colour and lines onto a canvas, and photography is the mastering of a camera, and literature is the mastering of language onto paper. Well, philosophy is the art of ideas. It's taking what you know and who you are and playing with that, really kind of pushing out the boat a bit and really pushing the boundaries. So think of it like your knowledge, your ideas as a kind of philosophical Play-Doh. You can do what you want with it. The possibilities are absolutely limitless, and it can do absolutely anything. And even so, when you finish, or supposedly finish, or get to some reasoned conclusion, you can still change. You can still come back and reevaluate. And again, the great thing about this is that once you understand philosophy as something which is enjoyable, as an art, is that it doesn't rely on any technology. doesn't rely on an external source. You don't need computers. You don't need pencils and canvases and books. You don't need money of any sort. Because all you need is a brain. And that's all it takes. And the great thing about this is well, where you go, your brain goes. And so unlike any other art, where you might need an iPod or you might need a book, you can take philosophy with you and enjoy philosophy with you wherever you go. It's got to the point now when I can be in a rush on a Monday morning, forget my iPod, and instead of panicking, I can just sit on the bus and deliberate the laws of morality. Because why not? It's fun. And the great thing about this is that, well, everybody has a brain. It's not limited to the academics here, let alone a few elitist group of people. It's something which anybody can do. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, if you have a political background, if you have a background in mathematics or science, even if you're an artist yourself, you can benefit from philosophy, and it is something beneficial and remarkably interesting. But, see, there's a problem, because I can only say so much, and that's exactly that. I'm limited to words, and as amazing as I may see philosophy, I can't show you exactly how great that philosophy is in the same way I will never be able to see how amazing you find it. It's something which is intrinsic. Only I and you can see it for how good it really is. And this is where this final word of trust comes in. I'm trusting in you, and I trust you to believe me, that philosophy is something which can be fun, can be beneficial, and can be useful in day-to-day life. Just trust me when I say that philosophy is something beautiful, and that, well, philosophy is an art. Thanks.